Welcome back, everyone. I'm Alex Witt here at MSNBC World Headquarters in New York. We have some breaking news from Asia this morning. That hostage siege in Bangladesh is over, but not without a costly toll. The attack on a restaurant in the capital city of Dhaka left at least 20 civilians dead, and military officials in the country say 6 attackers have been killed. ISIS claiming responsibility for the siege, according to an ISIS news agency. Joining me now, foreign policy and national security analyst Arash Ari Aramesh. And Arash, with a welcome to you. Let's talk about Bangladesh. Why choose Bangladesh? I mean, it's a Muslim country. Why should that be ISIS's target?
ISIS picks its targets to achieve a couple of goals in order to still put itself on the map as a legitimate terrorist organization, to be able to claim that sort of relevance. ISIS would like to carry out attacks outside just Iraq and Syria and the immediate neighborhood. What we saw happen in Istanbul this week was an act of terror planned, coordinated, and organized by ISIS Central, what I'd like to call ISIS Central, and that is the actual core ISIS that operates inside Iraq and Syria. But to say that, and to be able to claim that they can be effective outside the Middle East, outside just their backyard, they do carry out attacks in places such as Europe or in places like Asia. Bangladesh is a very poor Muslim country in South Asia. To be able to have a foothold there, to be able to have ISIS, central or perhaps ISIS regional, maybe this was an affiliate of ISIS in Bangladesh, carry out such an attack is a great claim to victory for them. It helps them in terms of propaganda. It's symbolic, and also inspires more recruits and inspires more young men to join them, because they still see that ISIS is effective, even though they've come under tremendous pressure and suffered losses in the battlefields of Iraq and Syria in the past few months.
Arash, I'm curious, because ISIS did not claim responsibility for Turkey on Tuesday, but it did claim responsibility for Bangladesh. So why do you think it claims responsibility for one and not the other? Were they not behind the airport attack in Istanbul?
Every sort of indicator and all the facts indicate that ISIS was in fact behind what happened in Istanbul, from the nature of the attack, from planning, from the way it was carried out, and also the objectives. What were they trying to achieve? This was not the actions of a Kurdish, separatist group. First of all, the attackers we know now, they came from Chechnya and Central Asian countries like Kyrgyzstan, and also they were after a particular aim, and that is to inflict as much collateral damage and inflict as much terror and fear as possible. Now, why did an ISIS Central claim responsibility for Istanbul is perhaps they yet do not want to have the full wrath of the Turkish government unleashed upon them. Perhaps they, as you know, the Istanbul Ataturk airport, the very airport they attacked, has been one of the major hubs of transit for jihadis coming from Europe and Central Asia to go to Turkey, and from Turkey to go to Syria to fight against the government of Assad. So that's one reason. But again, ISIS would love to take credit for spectacular acts of terror, what you saw in Belgium, what you saw in France, and now what you're seeing in Bangladesh. And that is exactly what ISIS would like to take credit for.
Real quick, Ramadan, why this month? It's a holy month.
It's a holy month, and the vast majority of the Muslim world would love to just fast after they break their fast, to spend time with their families and partake in festivities. But for ISIS, this is the month of bloodshed. If it's a holy month, that means their suicide bombings will get double credit from God. So that's what they're doing, but they also show that they're indiscriminate killers. They've gone after Muslims and non-Muslims. And a very final brief point, Bangladesh, aside from rise of fundamentalist sort of radicalism, is now competing grounds between ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other organizations. For the past couple of years now, LGBT activists, secular bloggers, professors, other Muslim minorities, Shia Muslims, Ahmadi Muslims, a whole host of people, including Hindus and Christians, have come under attack. So it's interesting to note that when you have a very highly densely populated country and very poor, it becomes real fertile grounds for recruitment and for competition between Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and other terrorist organizations.
Arash Ari Aramesh, thank you so much for your insights. I appreciate them. Meantime, everyone, let's get right to NBC's Morgan Radford.